What would you do if you could focus for 16 hours per day? I know that I would build a business, I would train for really long periods of time, I would focus on serving God, I would do everything productive as I humanly can. Most people throughout history has been able to focus for 16 hours per day without the hardship that you and me experience. It is simply the fact that the modern day has ruined the ability for us to focus. The first step that you need to do to actually reclaim your focus is really simple. You need to actually get back to where these people were once in history. You need to kind of reset your mind. Make sure that you keep yourself away from the things that is distracting you, like TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and the things that most people don't think about when they are thinking about what is actually distracting them. Like, what is the core thing that is distracting you from reaching the things that you want in your life, reaching the school projects that you want to be done, doing this extra side hustle that you want to have so that you can like afford your extra supplements, your gym subscription, your Aura or Whoop membership, and you want the extra little money so that you can actually pay these things that you want in your life, but you struggle to find enough focus and kind of motivation, and you always feel sluggish inside your brain, so that you procrastinate. You start procrastinating and you don't take charge of your life. You just sit there, you exist, you go to school without ever kind of performing that greatly. And there's three basic points that I want to mention inside of this video. These 3 points, let's just say, they have changed everything about how I focus, how I see work, how I see the times when I can't focus at all, and how the things impact me. So the first point that I want to speak about is you having a diet that actually supports your focus. And this might not come as a shocker. You probably already know that carbs can ruin your focus. If you're eating food in the morning, it might ruin your focus. If you eat a big meal in the morning, right before you're going to start work, you're basically going to drag a bunch of blood from your brain to your gut, and you're going to start processing this food. Now, if you add carbohydrates to this meal, you will shoot up your prolactin, which is a hormone that drags down your testosterone. When you don't have that high of a testosterone, when you're working and when you are training as well, you will feel like your competitive spirit will be faded away. You won't have the same level of competitiveness as you did just an hour before you ate this meal. And the prolactin also shoots up when you are doing sexual activity, when you release. And this is the reason why a lot of people preach NoFap and semen retention, but that's a really deep rabbit hole, so I'm not going to go into that in this video. But this is the core thing about this video. You need to change your diet around so that you don't interrupt your focusing hours on food. Eating foods throughout history has, like, especially eating foods in the morning as breakfast, that has not been a popular concept. Most people throughout history, until the 1930s or something, up until the Industrial Revolution, I'm sure of it, has not eaten breakfast. And this is because you have the best mental capacity in the morning, and you have the best focus, you have the least amount of brain fog, you have the least amount of fatigue because you just slept 8 hours, hopefully, and you cannot put this quality time of the day, literally the best time of the day, into eating unnecessary things and just feeding your cravings. You don't, first of all, you don't need to eat breakfast. You don't. The lie that breakfast is the most important meal of the day isn't true. But it could be true if you are struggling with your sleep. Because if you're struggling with your sleep, you are going to need breakfast, but I will get into that later. Let's just talk about diet first. So when are you actually going to eat? Well, you're going to eat after you completed your hardest task of the day. You already know this. You gotta eat the frog, and you gotta complete the hardest task first. So this is really simple. You already know this. I'm sure of it. But if you aren't, like, that's really good. Try to get the most work done before you even had your first meal. That is basically what all successful people throughout history and what the most successful people in today's day and age are doing as well. So this is basically the most important thing about this video. But the next things in this video are actually going to elevate and take you to the next level, you know. When you're eating, you need to have a so-called an anti-diet, a diet that you cannot eat, the things that you cannot eat. An anti-diet basically consists of carbohydrates, plant poisons. Am I forgetting something? Let me just check. Yeah. So carbohydrates, you need to lower carbohydrates. I'm not saying that you need to remove it altogether. I'm saying that you should lower your carbohydrate intake, because when you have slept throughout the night and you're doing your most important task, you want to be in what's called ketosis, when your body runs on fat instead of glycogen or carbs. And in order for you to get into ketosis, you need to have a diet that supports you being metabolically flexible, which means that you need to increase your fat inside your diet so that you can come into ketosis, so that you can burn more fat and have better mental function when you are in ketosis. I hope this makes sense. So basically, cut down your carbs and increase your fat intake and protein intake. And also try to stay away from plant poisons. Plant poisons is a really kind of unknown thing, I think, to most people. A lot of people know about plant poisons as well, but they basically exist in vegetables. Some people think they are really, really bad, but I don't think so. I don't think that they're really, really bad unless you have a condition. I know that there is the guy who invented biohacking, Dave Asprey. He really exaggerated the point that all plant poisons are really harmful to you. But the thing is that he is really allergic to the plant poisons inside of vegetables. He was really, really not a fond. He was not a fan of eating potatoes because that really messed up his gut. But for most people, we can eat potato because it doesn't mess up our gut, because we handle lectins, which is one of the plant poisons, way better than he does. There's also phytic acid, which is another plant poison, and there is oxalate acid. You can Google it up now if you want to. There's basically a list of plant poisons. They aren't going to say that you should be worried about plant poisons. But the thing is, if you want to have max amount of mental clarity, you need to remove plant poisons. Well, why is this? Because plant poisons basically drain your calcium and some other minerals, I think, but mainly calcium from your body. And when you lose certain minerals and vitamins inside your body, you will start creating a deficiency in this particular macronutrient, or micronutrient, I mean. And what happens then? Well, you are going to start losing a ton of energy. You will start to develop brain fog, and your ability to focus will be minimal. You will not have the same ability to focus at all. If you're someone who eats what your mother cooks, I certainly am, you just need to think that this food might be impacting me in negative ways, and I might not be able to focus later on. Try staying away from vegetables throughout the day. If you're not training, I would suggest you to not eat that much carbs. So if you are training, eat carbs before and after training. This is going to be massive. I really recommend this because you're going to have more energy during your workouts. But if you're eating like a small meal when you're breaking your fast, then you're eating a carbohydrate meal before your training, and then after, and then you're eating dinner, let's say. So that's 4 meals. I like to eat 4 meals per day. Sometimes I like eating two. It doesn't really matter for me. But if you have a set structure, try to have your carbohydrates before and after training, but not really more than like 4 or 5 hours before or after your training. That's just unnecessary. You don't need to have this. You're just going to experience less clarity of mind, and you're going to burn less fat, and your hormones are going to be way less optimized. I think I'm a fan of having carbohydrates in your diet. I think it's really great. I think it's great for your energy. I was on keto like 1 year ago, and my energy was super bad, you know. So I really suggest having carbs. I'm not saying that you should remove your carbs, but think about removing some of it. Now I've jabbed so much, so let's move on to how your allergies affect you. Most people doesn't know that they have allergies. At least I didn't. I realized 6 months ago that I had a gluten intolerance. And this was huge for me because I'm used to eating pasta and bread like sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. My family is really fond of having pasta and bread for dinner and breakfast sometimes as well with bread. And this completely ruins my gut. I become so inflamed. I become so puffy in my face, and my brain starts to lose its function. I cannot focus at all. What am I trying to say with this? I'm not saying that you are gluten intolerant, of course, but I'm saying that because I went basically 17 years of my life not having this awareness of this intolerance, I think that you need to find if you have anything as well, because even this small amount of intolerance to a certain food is going to cause you gut problems, it's going to cause you brain fog, it's going to give you an inability to focus, and you're going to get less gains inside a gym. Your hormones are going to get more fucked up, more out of balance, and a plethora of different things. You might even get sick more because your immune system reacts to this different hormone, to these different foods that you're eating. Because imagine this, like I went my whole life having this level of kind of uncomfortable feeling with this gluten intolerance that I have. But in order for me to notice it, it needs to come to this point. And because it was really, really uncomfortable having this gluten intolerance, but because I didn't have like the awareness, this is the awareness point. Because I didn't have the awareness, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about solving this problem because it wasn't that big of a deal in my life, even though it still was like pretty close to being a big deal. I didn't think of it, and you know, I have a really bad gut because of this, and a bunch of different other negative health outcomes that I wouldn't wish on anybody. So my point is that you need to think about what are you putting into your body. Do you have an awareness of what you're actually allergic to, or do you not? Now let's go over to the training section. Now you might think, how the fuck does training impact my focus negatively? Well, let me tell you, if you go out and you jog for 10-15 minutes around the house and it's really warm outside, you're going to lose a bunch of electrolytes, which is going to make your entire body out of sync. You're going to lose a bunch of water, making you really dehydrated, making you unable to think. With this, these might actually be minor points compared to the fact that you have now shot up a bunch of cortisol, basically a bunch of stress hormones, into your body. Some might think that, oh, you become more calm after you shut up and remove some of the stress hormones in your body. And to that I say, yeah, it might be true, but at the same time, if you do this enough, you're going to stress out your body, and over time, you're going to have a negative effect. Maybe in the short term, it would have a great effect. But if you do this day and day and day, you're going to lose a bunch of focus. And I'm telling you this from experience. I am someone who have been training for my entire life. I've been training since I was like 5 years old. I started with basket, then I did karate, then I did floorball, then I did karate, and then I started soccer. I played soccer for 4 or 5 years in a row, and then I went to Muay Thai, and now I am doing simply the gym, and I'm taking walks and I'm doing sprints. And these are the reasons. I go to the gym because I want to build a aesthetic body and a body that functions well, even though I might age to 110. I'm taking long walks to reduce my cortisol so that I'm not becoming and I'm not losing this clarity of mind, so that I don't get brain fog after I just went out jogging. I don't want to increase my cortisol because I already have enough cortisol in my life. You know, I'm doing so many things. I'm practicing my religion. I have a family. I am building a business. I have school. I have friends. I have everything that you have as well, you know. But I don't want to spike my cortisol more than necessary. I don't need to do this. And why I'm also saying this is because when you have more cortisol, when you have pumped out more cortisol in your blood that you are when you are jogging, you're going to get less gym progress as well, and actually a ton of it. Because when you are spiking up your cortisol, your testosterone is going to go down because of this. So now you're losing a bit of your competitive spirit, like I talked about before. And because of this, you're going to work way less, and this is going to compound because everything is compounding. Whatever thing you do, if you do it enough times, it's going to start compounding downwards, or it's going to start compounding upwards. Even with this YouTube channel, it's going to start compounding upwards because I'm putting in so much regularity, you know. So where were I? Well, yeah, I was with the walking. When I am walking, I'm reducing my cortisol. I am basically getting a really good form of cardio, even though I'm not doing any high intensity cardio because it really shoots up your cortisol, which I don't want. So I do walking and I do sprints. Sprints is the most efficient form of cardio that you can do because you can do sprints for, I don't know, 20 minutes. Like you go maybe 100 meters and you lay down on your back and you do some heavy breathing until your heart stop kind of cooling down, your heart stop beating a bit, you lower your heart rate I mean uh, and you go again as fast as your heart rate has slowed down a bit. And this is basically how you train sprints in the most efficient way. You want to emulate the feeling of being hunted by a tiger, then resting and thinking that everything is okay, and then you go again. And you do this a couple of times. I usually do 5 to 10 sets of sprints, and then I'm done. I walk home, I don't jog. Maybe I jog there because I have a kind of a little area where I do sprints. I jog there because I need to get warmed up so I don't hurt myself. And yeah, this doesn't spike cortisol that much either. So you can maintain your competitive spirit, your testosterone, and your focus while doing these three things. And I think it's a massive thing that I've incorporated inside of my life. Most people complicate training so much. They do some goofy shit in the gym. They go to the gym and they do some workout they seen on some random guy's page that isn't even jacked, you know. He's just saying that he's a personal trainer. I want to do things that I actually have tested, that is working. I don't want some placebo effect from some guy's program that I bought for $9.97. You know, I want the real stuff. I want the things that are actually working for me. I want the things that is evidence based, and this is completely evidence based. If you want to build a muscle, have focus, feel really good, and basically develop yourself, develop the things that you didn't think that you could develop by increasing your testosterone, improving your hormones, you need to remove your cortisol and you need to stop doing this high intensity of cardio that most people are doing, that is completely fucking up their their life. Like, honestly, it is. I've done soccer, I've done Muay Thai, and this has been so negative for my body. I'm just feeling tired all the time. I can't focus. I cannot really talk with people when I'm there because I'm just so fatigued like all the time. If I'm training 5 or 6 times a week on these cardio sports, football and Muay Thai, bro, it's draining my whole body, and I don't want that. You know, I don't want anything of that. I also try to have a bunch of fun when I'm doing cardio. I play paddle tennis, which is basically the most fun sport that I've ever encountered in my life. It's so fun. You can do it 1v1 or you can do it 2v2. It's so fun. I love it so much, and it's really good cardio as well. Or just tennis. The third point, sleep. This is basically the point that I used to struggle with the most, and the main points that I have gone through when I try to improve my sleep is basically wake up without an alarm. I try to cortisol max in the morning, and this is what I wanted to come to before in this video when I talked about breakfast. You see, when you eat breakfast, you trigger cortisol in your body. You raise your body temperature. You also do this when you take cold showers, when you drink coffee, when you go out exercising, when you get sunlight into your eyes. These are basically the things that is going to elevate your cortisol in the morning and increase your body temperature. Now you might think, why do I want to trigger my cortisol in the morning? Well, this is not going to lower your testosterone. In fact, it's going to make it higher, especially when you're sleeping later on. You see, when you trigger all of your cortisol in the morning, this might actually be the one exception for going out on a jog in the morning. When you trigger a bunch of cortisol and raise your body temperature in the morning, you're going to start seeing that your sleep is going to get better. This is because when you get out of bed, you basically have a bunch of leftover melatonin, which is the hormone that makes you sleepy. You have a bunch of leftover melatonin, and when you meet that with a bunch of cortisol, you're going to be really awake during the rest of the entire day. So if you do a bunch of high cortisol activities in the morning, you're going to also see that you have more energy throughout the day, and when it's time to sleep, you have depleted all of your cortisol, and you can sleep way better. You can fall asleep better, you have deeper sleep, and you're going to be really much recovered when you are going to bed later on. So this is the best tip that I have. Basically, it's really biological, it's really scientific, but it works. It works for me, it works for my friends whom I helped as well. The second most important thing, or the thing that most people say is the number one thing that is going to improve your sleep, is to go to bed on time. But I don't need to go through this. Have a difference of 5 to 10 minutes every single night when you're going to bed, when you are waking up. Try to, at least, if you are having an alarm. And if you aren't having an alarm, just try to go on bed on the exact same time every single day. This is going to do wonders for you. This is going to optimize your hormone function. You are going to start getting cortisol increase at the right times. You're going to have melatonin at the right times. You're going to peak your testosterone at the right times. And over time, this is one of those things that is going to compound your health in a really positive manner. So, go to bed on time. You might want to have an alarm when you wake up. You might not. Sleep out is really good. That is really something that is going to improve your sleep and remove your sleep debt, which is something that most people carry around. They sleep 8 hours the first night, and then they sleep 6 hours, then they sleep 8 hours, and then they sleep 5 hours the other night. And this level of non-regularity is something that is really going to mess you up over time, and in a week that is going to give you a lot less recovery. If you want help from me, having health coaching, I'm happy to help. Just click the link down below, and I will see you in the next video.